I may be taking a job in New Jersey, a little weekend deal coming up. Rachel's from Ohio, did a little time there in college. It's cold there too, actually. My tires went flat. It got so cold. North Carolina, all right. Camden, Georgia, James. Dinah is from California. I hope I'm saying that right. Sarah is from Westlake Village, California. Brad Mason Boyd. Oh, Peggy. We got a good old Tennessee girl here. All right. I'm from Chattanooga originally, so got about 145 people. I'm going to wait just a minute longer before we get going. Marla's from several people from Ohio here. Oklahoma, Indiana, Denise. John Bryant from South Carolina. Bill Schwartz from Wisconsin. I bet it gets cold there. All right. I'm going to go ahead and get started. My name is Dr. Eric Aiken, and I'm going to try to keep looking at my camera here, but I've got stuff all over the screen here. My name is Dr. Eric Aiken. I'm a board-certified neurosurgeon by trade, and tonight I'm joined by Shannon Davis, who is a registered dietitian. And to give you an idea of the level of people that are presenting to you tonight, Shannon is part of a newly formed organization called the American Diabetes Society. She is a board member among other preeminent thought leaders in this space. Some of them are internationally known, like Dr. Eric Westman. And so she has made her way as one of the preeminent thought leaders in the metabolic wellness space now. And then also with me tonight is James Cox, who is, I'm proud to say, my partner, and he's also a consultant in the poultry industry. And together, our mission tonight is we want to not just disseminate some information to you for you to mindlessly consume. We're here to make a change in you. We want to give you information that then changes the way that you start to see things a little bit, and then changes your behavior. And that, because the type of information that you're going to learn in this presentation, by virtue of the nature of the people that are coming together in this organization, the fund of knowledge collectively is huge. And the fact that we get to interact with one another, you're getting exposure to some of the most cutting edge information on metabolic wellness, much of which your doctor probably doesn't know. And it's hard to come by information. Some of it is very new. And certainly hardly anyone is practicing this. The American Diabetes Association, opposed to the American Diabetic Society that Shannon is in, has had its day, and it's failed us. And so we've got 15% of the population that has diabetes. 93% of everyone, man, woman, and child, has some level of insulin resistance. And now there is new information in this collection of people here are actually, I believe, are going to move the needle in reducing those numbers in the upcoming years. And so I could give you plenty of useless medical information that you could do nothing with. For example, did you know that mosquitoes prefer beer drinkers? But what are you going to do with that? Are you going to quit? Are you going to skip the IPS when you're camping? I mean, look, camping without beer is just sleeping outside. Okay. So that said, we're going to give you some information that, like I said, changes your perceptions and then changes your behavior. And in doing that, it's actually changing the shape of your brain, making new connections so that this gets locked in. So now, before we get started with Shannon, who's going to present to you some of the science, I'm going to ask James, who is my partner, has had an incredible experience on this product. And I'd like James to just tell his story with this. So, are you still
ready? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Alrighty, so just to kind of give you a little bit of my journey, probably my biggest as an adult was about 2018. Weighed about 350 pounds on a 6'4" frame, and just never really could lose weight. And then in the summer of 23, I read the Carnivore Diet book by Dr. Sean Baker on a cruise and thought, well, that sounds kind of interesting. I want to try that out, but life kind of got in the way. Well, then in January of 24, I did a carnivore diet, and but at that point when I started, I was at 335, and I got to 305, but I could never get below 305. No matter what I tried, no matter what I did, I couldn't get below 305. And I had been, today is a 2-year anniversary for me of being 2 years alcohol free. So I kind of thought when I quit all that beer drinking that, my gut would go away, but my gut would never go away. So I didn't really know what was causing that. So about a year ago, I met Dr. Eric Aiken at St. Bernard's Regional Medical Center in Jonesboro, Arkansas, which is the area I grew up. He was my mother's neurosurgeon and performed her biopsy, and she was diagnosed with a form of cancer, glioblastoma. And then he was, I started following him on Instagram as I was vetting him out as her surgeon. And then he started posting some stuff on his social media that I felt kind of odd for a neurosurgeon to be posting, things like people taking control of their own health and really, kind of getting off prescription meds. And so I had my mind made up that as I was going back into the corporate world, I was a plant manager for a poultry facility in Gainesville, Georgia. I had my mind made up that I was going to take the product because, I knew I could never lose weight. And so I wanted to try it. Well, the funny thing happened when I went back to work, I found myself on the job market and kind of got the idea to be a consultant and kind of do some other things. And so I just started to use the product. And I thought, why not? I've tried other things that didn't work. I would try this to see if it would work for me. And I think within 2 weeks, I had reversed what I come to find out was the insulin resistance that was in my body that was, caused from years of bad eating and bad drinking. And I immediately felt a difference within 2 weeks and have been on the product ever since. And started it on July 8th of 2024 and at the weight of 335 pounds. And last week I weighed 263.8. So that's awesome. How much weight I've taken off since July of last year. And really what it's just done for me personally is it's just been life-changing. It's really just for the first time in my life as an adult, I'm actually going to the gym and I'm actually getting quality workouts in. I'm planking for a minute. I'm doing things that I haven't done since high school because I grew up playing sports. I grew up, loved being around sports. If I wasn't playing at school, I was playing at the sandlot somewhere. So I've been able to get back into shape and, trying to figure out, if I can get back on the golf course. I'd gotten so bad I couldn't even play 18 holes of golf, riding the cart. So I'm looking forward to playing golf again and probably having to go to a swing coach because I don't have to, swing around a huge beer belly. So, it's just an amazing product. And if you've been invited here tonight and you're kind of, wondering if this system works, I can tell you it works. And I've tried other things in the past, and if you don't think it will work for you, I can promise you it will work for you because it's worked for me. And can't say enough about it. And
that's fantastic.
Yeah.
One of the things that he was talking about, losing the belly and having to learn to work around the missing belly part. So for me, when I was operating and had the belly out in front of me, I used to use my belly to push the wound back together with. And that was the only thing I did not like about losing the belly was I couldn't just easily push the wound back together with my stomach and then sew it back together. So I just have to, get my assistants now to push the wound together while I close. But, and then I think everybody sort of uniformly noticed this dramatic improvement in both the cognitive aspects, their thinking clears and their function improves. So you sort of you feel yourself reclaiming your youth, both in your mind and in your body as this happens. So now I'm going to go and let Shannon Davis, I'm going to unleash her on you to deliver some great scientific knowledge about this now.
All right, let me close. Well, unleash is sort of a term. I do not call myself a typical dietitian. I like to call myself a road dietitian. I've been a practicing dietitian for 18 years. About 3.5 years, I was in organ transplant. So we did liver, kidney, and pancreas. About 1.5 years, I worked in gastric bypass. And then the rest of my career, I've been in nephrology. So working with people on dialysis. The last 5 years, I'm embarrassed to say, were pharmaceutical sales, selling phosphate binders to people on dialysis. Throughout my entire 18 years, though, I've always struggled with this empty feeling like something's not right. I mean, there's no reason that somebody should be on 19 pills a day. There's no reason. And, as I'm looking at y'all and y'all are looking at me, and if I were, counseling you, we would be going over, tell me a little bit, Eric, about what you're eating. Let's go over, and I would make recommendations. Eric would tell me, what he has done or not done. And, we would struggle. There's no reason for this. It was just a constant battle because what I was taught to teach was keeping people sick. And unfortunately, we see this paradigm today where we're all about treating or diagnosing a problem versus preventing a problem. And so that is why I left, because I want to teach people to thrive, not exist. And the only way we're going to teach people to do that is if we focus on what we're putting in our bodies. There is nothing except oxygen that we encounter more than what we eat on a daily basis. And unfortunately, we are constantly bombarded with different recommendations from everyone. Follow carnivore, follow paleo, follow vegetarian, plants are best, plants hurt us. No processed food, cook every food at home, order takeout. We don't know where to go. And so hopefully after tonight, you'll feel a little more confident about what is going to be right for you. And if there is one thing as a dietitian that is worse than fingernails down a chalkboard, it's, Shannon, please give me a meal plan. I swear, because we're all so different. And the second that I give you a meal plan, you're going to follow it for 2 days and you're going to be like, oh my God, I'm so tired of that food. So I'm going to just give general recommendations. And really the goal of tonight is for everyone to understand it does not matter where you're at in your journey. There is no right way. The right way is what works for you. And so if you hear someone say, you must do it this way, or you must do it this way, don't listen, okay? So I'm going to share my screen. I will not be able to see comments. So if y'all put comments, maybe somebody can help moderate the comments once I have this up. All right. Can y'all see that?
Yes.
Right? Okay, perfect. So you started the Feel Great system, or maybe you're thinking of starting the Feel Great system, and Eric or Dr. Aiken's going to go over what the Feel Great system is once I finished. But maybe y'all want to put in the comments, when y'all were looking at making this life-changing decision, like embarking on this journey, how many of you were maybe fearful that you'd have to give up your favorite food? Or how many of you struggled with, oh geez, I hope somebody tells me what to eat, because if I'm going to do this, I want to do it the right way. Because I feel like that's what we eat is something that probably crosses our mind 100 times minimum a day, right? Okay, so why are we so concerned with what we eat, right? We have a tool, we have a system, we have this fantastic tea and we have this fiber. So shouldn't we just be able to eat whatever we want? Well, in a perfect world, yes. But we do need to make some lifestyle changes. And that's why these tools are so great, because they help us make these decisions. I bet there is not one person, let me see how many people are on there. I can't see anymore, but I think there was like 300. I bet there's not one person on here who wants to be sick or chooses to be sick, right? No one wants to be sick. And of all of us on here, I bet every single one of us would probably agree that donuts and a Coke, I'm from the South, so every soda is a Coke, whether it's a Sprite or Dr. Pepper. Your Coke and your donut, you know, is not a healthy breakfast, right? However, we keep doing it. And so why do we keep doing it? It's because we like it. We're addicted to it. It turns on that dopamine, or releases that dopamine in our brain, and we really enjoy it. So despite not ever wanting to be sick or overweight, and knowing that some things that we shouldn't do, why do we stay stuck? So our goal, right, of starting the Feel Great system is to reverse chronic disease. We know 93% of Americans are suffering from insulin resistance. And so the goal of our food choices, coupled with this protocol, are to minimize sugar. How many of y'all are addicted to sugar? I am addicted to sugar. 1,000.
Baby Billy.
Hey, can y'all?
Was
Yeah,
not
mute.
on the show last time.
Sorry.
I can't mute all. Wait a minute. If I mute all, I gotta unmute you. So hang on.
Okay, I'm unmuted. Okay. So how many of y'all are addicted to sugar? Because I know I am. I don't care that I'm a dietitian. I don't care that I know what I'm supposed to eat. I love sugar. And I think my most favorite thing in the whole world is a crumble cookie. For any of you who know, you know, I think I would run 10 miles a day if I could eat crumble cookies all day long. That's how much I love them. So I have to keep them away, minimize sugar. Guess what the Feel Great system does? It really helps me be able to pass by, and there is one 1/4 of a mile from here. Not a good thing. Processed carbohydrates. We're going to talk about what that is. Prioritize protein, right? Choose healthy fats. Guys, fats have been demonized since Ansel Keys. We can talk about Ansel Keys another time. Eisenhower had his heart attack, which was blamed on fat. No one talked about the cigarettes he smoked. But since that point on, it's been fat-free. How many of y'all remember Snackwell's, the fat-free devil's food cookies? I would eat boxes and boxes because they were fat-free. I would eat bags of gummy bears because they were fat-free. How about the lemon heads? When I worked at Piedmont in organ transplant, me and the other dietitians would walk across the street to CVS and buy boxes of lemon heads. It's insanity. The misinformation and what we were taught to about fats and about sugar. Seed oils. Many of you may or may not have started to hear the rumbling of seed oils. That is going to be a big to-do. Keep your eye on that over these next 4 years. They are extremely highly inflammatory. We want to focus on real food, okay? And I want us to know that there is a place that we can fit in everybody's different types of eating. And fasting. Why do we talk about fasting? Dr. Aitken's going to go into it more, because fasting is an excellent tool to help us tackle this chronic epidemic of insulin resistance. And guess what? The Feel Great system makes that easy. We need to avoid snacking. I'm going to take this from Yvette. She says it the best. We are not 2 years old. We do not need to eat all the time. Why do we snack? If you really think about snacking, why do we snack? It's because the food industry needed to sell products, right? There is not one snack that is not out of a bag with a barcode or in a package. If my great-great-grandmother needed to snack, there's no work getting done on the farm, because she'd have to prepare it from scratch, and that took hours, right? Nobody binges or snacks on hard-boiled eggs and sticks of butter and steak. We just don't. It's that Bliss Point ultra processed food. And then we're always going to talk about how can we make adopting these lifestyle changes or these food recommendations easier, and that's with the Feel Great system. So there are multiple different types of diets out there. You've probably heard of all of these. We're just going to touch a little bit on each one of these. And guys, whichever one of these you choose, we can make work. Okay. So what's going to be the best is going to be the one that you can follow, the one that makes you feel the best, the one that optimizes your health. Okay. So keto is probably one that you've heard of most associated with the Feel Great system. Why? Because a ketogenic diet is a very, very low carbohydrate diet. And if we talk about what causes insulin resistance, insulin's a hormone that unlocks our cell that allows the glucose or the energy into our cell. Well, what food groups or macronutrient elicits the most glucose and then thus insulin? It's carbohydrates. So that's the one that you hear most associated with the Feel Great system. And it's truly just a low carbohydrate diet. And again, there's varying degrees. Something that I kind of encourage is if you're not diabetic, keep those carbs 50 grams or less a day. Now, you certainly can have more. If you are active, you work out a lot, you can probably get away with a lot more. If you fast more, you can get away with a lot more. If you're diabetic, my goal and something that we focus on at the American Diabetes Society is reversing diabetes, guys. Your type 2 diabetes is reversible. If no one's ever told you that, I'm telling you that today. It 100% is reversible, and you are in the right place to make that happen. But in order to make that happen, we have to adjust our diet because type 2 diabetes is a dietary condition. And I don't mean this in any ugly way, but we ate our way there. We caused it on ourselves. So if we ate our way into it, we can eat our way out of it. So it's going to mean making some pretty strong changes in our diet and you dropping those carbs to 30 grams or less. And let me tell you, you may think, oh my gosh, that's the end of the world, but I like to swap that around. Let's think about what we can have. If you look back at what you would have thought of years ago, y'all put that in the comments. When somebody said we need to put you on a diet to lose weight, what was that? It was probably a 1,200 calorie diet of nasty, no flavor, dry food with no butter, no grease, none of that, right? I'm here to tell you, a juicy hamburger that drips out of your mouth with a runny egg and a piece of cheese and some bacon, that is one of the most tastiest things that you can eat. And guess what? It is welcomed on this type of diet because fat does not elicit an insulin spike. Protein, very small, but when you combine it with fat, that is perfection, okay? So again, the keto is a low carbohydrate diet. It's excellent for controlling glucose and reversing diabetes. It's predominantly animal-based. Why? Because animal protein is the most biologically available protein there is. If you're trying to get your protein, and we'll touch on this in the vegetarian section, through plants, you're going to have to eat quite a bit of plants. And with that comes oxalates, comes phytic acid, and comes carbohydrates, okay? Quality fats. How many of y'all used to fear fat? How many of y'all never put, do y'all remember that spray butter? How many of y'all would down your food? I mean, it's just awful if you look at all the chemicals on that, but we all did it because it was fat free. Well, I don't want to bust your bubble, but if you went beyond probably one spray, you probably got quite a bit of calories, okay? Our high fiber vegetables, we're going to talk about what those look like, and electrolytes. And if y'all have questions, we'll address these in the end. Again, I can't see any of your comments. Paleo is another popular form. That was popular, I don't know, like in 2007, 2008. It's big. It was big in the CrossFit face. Really, it's a diet that mimics our ancestors, right? No grains, because we really didn't process grains, right? Its goal is to reduce inflammation. That was what happened. When we reduce inflammation, lots of people lose weight. And when we kind of limit the food choices that we're able to eat, just by kind of process of elimination, you'll lose weight. But it's limited to like tubers and roots and leafy vegetables, right? Wild game, venison, fish, poultry, eggs, again, nuts that you could pick, right, that were available. Honey was available, but no grains, no legumes, no dairy, or processed foods. The Mediterranean diet has been very popular and actually has maintained its popularity for quite some time. It's extremely popular with people that have like heart disease and heart problems. You might also hear the DASH diet thrown in there. Run from that, guys. Salt is your friend. Do not fear salt, okay? Eating too little salt can actually cause insulin resistance. But again, the Mediterranean diet, it's a whole foods diet. And what you'll see in all of these categories, I don't care if they're all plants or all animals or an accumulation of both. One thing that you're going to see is common is we don't list processed food. It's eliminating, if all of these can come together and agree on one thing, it's get rid of processed food. And that's really the hardest, right? Do y'all struggle like me to get rid of the processed food? It stimulates that bliss point. We crave them. There is no coincidence that you can't eat just one. You're not weak. You don't lack willpower. I mean, I study this every day. I've been doing it for 18 years. And I'm telling you, it calls my name every day. But Mediterranean, olive oil, very, very olive oil focused. And every bottle that says olive oil, please don't be fooled. Turn it around. Make sure the label says it's from one country, right? It's super important because when they mix those oils, it's probably mixed with some vegetable oils to drown it out, and you do not want that, right? Fish, poultry, again, they limit the meat and they encourage the seafood. In seasonal foods are going to be your best choices. Carnivore, you heard James talk about carnivore. Carnivore is pretty popular right now. What is carnivore? Carnivore is really just a ultra restrictive diet. That's all it is. It's an elimination diet. You are limiting everything except something from an animal. So any type of beef, any type of pork, eggs, full fat dairy, poultry, duck, lamb, right? Veal, anything from an animal. Now, I do think that there is a time and place for a carnivore diet for people that have autoimmune, for people that are struggling with a lot of inflammation, a lot of food allergies. It's extremely healing, but it's also very restrictive. But again, as we have adopted it more, I mean, I have tons of carnivore cookbooks. There's so many creative things that you can do and ways to incorporate this. I am by no means saying that one of these diets is better than another. I think what you have to think about is what's going to be realistic, what's going to be maintainable, because this is a marathon, y'all. I do not want this to be another diet, something that you follow. Guess what? I got 90 days to try this. If I don't like it, I can get my money back. So for 90 days, I'm going in, all in, and you go all in, and then you teeter out. We want this to be long-term. This is a marathon. So, and it's not black or white. We are human. And if I told Eric, you're in my view, if I said, Eric, you can never for the rest of your life eat a chocolate chip cookie, Eric is going to want a chocolate chip cookie more than he wants anything else. Because what we do is when we say it's off limits, we never, ever, ever can have it again, it grows big and powerful and strong, and we crave it for more. right? It's what we do most of the time. And when we have something like the Feel Great system, guess what? It can cushion the blow when we do have that chocolate chip cookie. But we have to look at where we're at. I'm in a different place than some of you. For those of us who exercise a ton, guess what? I can be a little bit more lenient in the amount of carbohydrates that I choose. Do I still need to choose real food? Absolutely. For somebody that's really struggling with losing quite a bit of weight, that's A1C is really high, that has fatty liver, that has hypertension, guess what? I would recommend that let's be a more restrictive to try to get you healthy, because at this point it's about saving your life, and no food is worth your life. So if it means that we got to tighten those reins in to get these diseases under control, then we can do it, because you're worth it. Okay. And you've got so much support here to make this happen. The last one I'm going to talk about is vegetarian. I personally do not recommend vegetarian diets to people. Do I think they can fit? 1,000%, but it must be done the correct way. If you're just going to decide I'm not going to eat animal proteins anymore, then please thoroughly do your research, because if you're not getting in the proper amount of protein, if you're not getting in the proper amount of B12, if you're not getting in the proper nutrients like creatine, your health is going to suffer. So despite trying to be uber healthy by eliminating animals, you are causing some malnutrition in a different way. And so again, there's different
Also,
types of vegetarians. We have vegans who do nothing but plants. That means no dairy, no eggs, no fish. You have vegetarians that do fish. That's a much more healthier way to do the fish and the eggs. Okay. So again, it's whatever you choose, and we can work with it. It's just a lot more difficult to kind of make this one happen. So when we talk about macronutrients, how many of y'all have heard if it fits your macros? That was a big kind of diet fad many years ago. And basically it was eat whatever you want as long as it fit my macros. Right. So, I got 1,800 calories. I got 60 grams of fat. I can go all out and eat 2 dozen donuts because it fit my macros, guys. No, because it's not the amount of calories. Our body doesn't have calorie receptors. Calories are units of measure of energy, right? We get energy from carbohydrates and fat, not protein, right? But it's about what hormonal response these foods elicit, okay? So if you follow this protocol, the Feel Great system, some intermittent fasting, and again, I encourage like a 12 to 16 hour window. Start with 12, fasting like a muscle. Start slow and work your way up. You don't have to do, guys, you don't have to do 36, 72. You certainly can, but please don't start there if you've never done it. And ask questions before you do that. But with that being said, the reason we so focus on macros is because each of these macronutrients elicit a different insulin response. Protein is where we get our muscle growth, our tissue, our tendons, our ligaments, our enzymatic, our enzymes for our body's processes. All of these things come from protein. And we want to try to aim, the sweet spot is for 1 gram per pound of our goal weight. So if my goal weight's 130, I'm going to try to get in 130 grams of protein a day. Now, how many of y'all have heard, oh, you can only eat like 25 to 30 grams of protein per setting. The rest just gets wasted. You pee it out or you don't absorb it, right? How many of y'all have heard that? Throw it out the window. That whole theory was dispelled last year. There was a study done that showed you can eat up to 100 grams or more in one setting and absorb all of that appropriately. God, our bodies are not stupid. Our bodies are going to do what it needs to do if we feed it real things. So food is messengers. Food is information to our body. That's why you can go eat 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 calories worth of ultra processed food and chemicals and still be hungry. Our body doesn't process that. Those chemicals don't don't send the proper messages to our body, but proteins, fats, and carbs do. So when you think of protein, beef, any type of beef, and actually you want the fatty beef. Okay. I grew up on a farm, and we raised beef cattle. And so I never really put two and two together, but when you take a cow to the butcher to get butchered, the fatty cuts, which we call choice, like prime choice, right? Or Wagyu, these cuts are extremely expensive. They've got a lot of fat we call marbling. It's the white all through the meat. That makes it tender, that makes it juicy. So we pay a lot for that. But then you see the 96.4 ground beef that's 3 times the price as the 70/30. Do y'all know that is the trash beef? It's called cold meat. That is the meat that was not good enough to make a steak, but they're upcharging it times like 5 times to sell it to make it seem healthier. You want the fat with protein. God did not do anything by mistake. You have fat in nature. Where there's protein, there's fat, right? So eat the fat, the yolk with the egg, the fat with the beef, with the bacon, right? Real salmon has fat. Dairy has fat. When we eat the fat with our protein, it stimulates bile acid release. That allows us to digest and absorb our amino acids and our proteins far better than without it. How many of y'all have ever drank a whey protein shake that's like an IsoPure, that's fat-free, it's just pure whey? Did it destroy your tummy? I mean, I've been in the gym and somebody walks by with those terrible gym farts, right? And you're like, you've got to be kidding me. You know they drink a whey protein. We call it crop dusting at the gym. But it's it's awful, but you know, when you know, you know. And I'm telling you, it's because they drink a whey protein shake that has no fat in it and it tears your stomach up. It's not because of the lactose. It's because it doesn't have fat. If you add some full fat dairy or a scoop of peanut butter or an avocado or some coconut oil, you're going to be in much better shape and you're going to absorb and digest that protein better. Okay.
Plans for crop
so fruits and vegetables, guys, anything is better than processed food, but there are certain fruits and vegetables that have less sugar or less carbohydrates. If we talk about fruit, berries are the gold standard. They have a ton of fiber. So blackberries, blueberries, raspberries, strawberries, kiwi comes next. Believe it or not, grapefruit. Some things that we think of that we don't really think of as fruit because they're not sweet, but avocados, olives, and coconut.
Oh,
those
I love
are fruit,
avocados.
right? Those are great sources because they have a ton of fiber. But your citrus fruit, I would try to avoid bananas, right? Grapes are just pure like sugar cubes, and they sure are yummy. I can tell you that.
I love
but
grapes.
they're going to spike your sugar. As far as vegetables go, okay, there are lots of high fiber vegetables: zucchini, yellow squash, cabbage, Brussels sprouts,
all those
cauliflower,
things you hate, Carrie.
broccoli, avocados, asparagus, green beans, cucumbers, celery, bell peppers, cabbage, bok choy, any type of lettuce or green, mushrooms. These are your least starchy vegetables. The beautiful thing about following this type of eating is you can eat really till you're full. There is nothing worse than being on a diet and pushing your plate away and still being hungry because you've eaten enough. When you eat the proper food, your high fiber vegetables, your proteins and your fats, eat till you're satisfied. And when you're done, and you'll know it. And guess what? That maintains you and you don't need to snack. Okay. So if you want to eat vegetables, eat them. Are they necessary? No. And I know you're going to say, oh my gosh, you're a dietitian and you're not recommending vegetables and fruit. No, I'm not, because it doesn't work for everybody. But if you're going to eat carbohydrates, you must have fiber. Okay. So again, I'm not saying that you can't eat carbs, I eat carbs. I love apples. I eat an apple at the end of every meal. And one thing I will say, and for those of you who follow me have probably heard me say it 1,000 times, there is something to eating your food in a specific order, right? You start your meals with your balance, and then you eat your fiber first, whether that's your salad, your vegetables, right? And then you eat your protein and your fat. That's second. If you're going to have a carbohydrate, right, whether it's a sweet potato or a bite of rice or an apple like me, then eat it at the end of your meal. It does significantly affect your blood sugar, okay? Carbohydrates, right? They are not our enemy. But if you have type 2 diabetes, you do not digest and tolerate carbohydrates properly, okay? You likely have carbohydrate toxicity. I'm not talking to everybody, but if you have type 2 diabetes, carbohydrate is the nutrient that got you there. So we need to restrict it to reverse it, okay? But if you're going to choose carbs, let's choose our whole food carbs and our high fiber carbs, right? So our tubers, they've got a lot of fiber, right? Our dried beans have a lot of fiber. Lentils, quinoa, right? Waxy potatoes have less fiber less starch than our starchy potatoes. The Japanese sweet potatoes have less carbohydrate or starch than the regular sweet potatoes. There is something called resistant starch, okay? I do not know the science behind it, but I'm fascinated by it. And it is proven, and I'm still blown away. But if you cook potatoes and you put them in the fridge, and you cook rice and you put them in the fridge or freezer and then reheat it, it does lessen the glucose spike. I don't know why the starch molecules change and they're more resistant to you digesting them. Your gut microbiome can attack them and break them down. Fats. Guys, please make fat your friend. It has been demonized for so long, but we need fat for hormone production. Our cell membranes are made of fat. Our brain is fat. We need fat. Fat does not make you fat. You can eat the same amount of fat in calories and the same amount in carbs and calories, and you're going to gain weight on the carbs. The fat is not going to cause a weight gain because it does not spike insulin. So what are your best choices of fat? Again, our animal fats. The margarine, please get rid of that margarine. I can't believe it's not butter, country crock, all of that, trash.
Stuff's nasty.
Okay? Lard, tallow, ghee. Ghee is just butter with the dairy part removed. Save your bacon grease. I used to shudder when my grandmother would put a slab of bacon grease in the pan to cook with. She knew what she was doing. I'm the one that was crazy. Okay, so go back to that. Olive oil, coconut oil, and avocado oil. You do not want to cook high temperatures with olive oil. It will burn. Okay, coconut oil, avocado oil, and your animal fats are going to be able to handle a higher smoke point. You see on here, avoid seed oils. They are highly inflammatory. They hide out in your body, in your fat cells, and they have a 2.5-year half-life. They are not good, my friends. They cause insulin resistance and they wreak havoc on your body. Highly inflammatory, okay? So that means if you stop today, you still got these jokers floating around in your body for at least 2.5 years. Please be cautious, especially with processed foods. These seed oils are in every salad dressing, every sauce, every baked good. It's extremely hard to eat anything that you don't cook at home and not have these vegetable oils and peanut oils and canola oils in them. Okay, everybody asks, what can I drink when I'm on the Feel Great system? Well, glad that you asked that. Water is our best friend, right? But if you get bored with water, sparkling water, I am a big fan of sparkling water. It's even good in your Unamate. You can do unsweet tea. You can do coffee. Guys, I'm going to preface, I get this question all the time, will coffee break a fast? Black coffee will not break a nutrient fast. There's multiple different types of fasts, but for the purposes here, we're talking about spiking insulin. It will not. You can even add splash of heavy cream to it, and it will not. You can add stevia, monk fruit, allulose, erythritol, any of those, it will not break your insulin fast. Okay. I am a big fan of electrolytes. Once you start on this insulin reversing mission, you are going to notice that you diurese off quite a bit of fluid. And if you don't want the keto flu, it's not really the flu, it's an electrolyte imbalance. So please don't be afraid of salt. Salt is your friend, but not the white Morton salt with the little girl in the umbrella. Your Redmond's Real Salt, your pink Himalayan salt. Baja Gold is a brand. I've not used that one, but it's extremely popular. I think it has 90 plus minerals in it. Celtic sea salt. You can even add electrolytes. I make my Unimate up every morning. I add creatine because I'm a big fan of creatine. 10 grams, scoop. I add Redmond's Relight. It's my favorite. And I drink my Unimate every morning that way. So with that being said, that is all I have. Hopefully y'all have some pretty cool questions.
There was one question I want to ask you that was asked in the comments. Are you a fan of the Mediterranean diet?
Am I a fan? Yeah.
I love the Mediterranean
me too.
diet.
I think so too.
It's great.
I don't like Mediterranean food, but I think that diet consistently gets rated number 1 or number 2 most healthy diet. Now the DASH diet, I'm going to beat up on it because at my height and weight, I can eat 8 slices of white bread on the DASH diet. Now that's what your cardiologist is going to recommend to you if you have it, but I think that diet is I just don't agree with the DASH diet very much.
If he's telling you to eat 8 pieces of white bread, don't listen to the cardiologist.
What to do without having to think about it too much. Get Eric Westman's book. It's called End Your Carb Confusion. I'll put it here in the comments. End Your Carb Confusion by Eric Westman. And that'll give you a pretty good guideline of how to eat and behave on this. So this is very important. A couple of points that I want to touch on that she said very quickly. Shannon was sensing that something was wrong in her practice as a dietitian. Here's the scary thing is I didn't think anything was wrong. I didn't think anything was wrong until I met Shannon. And I thought, this is just the way it goes, and most doctors feel that way. They're following the rules. People just don't get better. It's just the way it is. And then I learned better having been here. So I was edified and improved by being exposed to this group here. And I also noticed people asking questions and people who are not doctors, but are answering those questions very confidently and very accurately with good information. And I think that just goes to show that just being in this group after a while, you become a little bit of an expert just hanging around.
Thank you.
And you don't have to be a doctor or a nutritionist or a dietitian or a nurse to get there. The next thing is you need to realize that where this product comes in handy is that your biggest risk factor for disease and death on this planet is what you eat every day. And in the United States and elsewhere, most of the Western civilized world, our food environment has become a very harsh, sort of a post-apocalyptic environment. It's harsh. The average human in the United States is exposed to anywhere from 4,000 to 10,000 advertisements a day, with a quarter of those advertisements being for very unhealthy foods. So they're in your head, not to mention that there is available to every man, woman, and child an extra 3,000 calories on top of what they need just to meet their regular needs. That is available to you 24/7 in this country. So you have to think about it like this. It's $1 trillion industry, the food industry. Imagine 1 million millionaires get together to try to figure out how to get you to stuff more in your mouth possible. They are a formidable adversary, but this is your protection. So I'm going to show you this product right now. Think of this product as your hazmat suit for this very harsh eating environment that we live in. And it addresses the biggest problem in human health today. So let me go up here. All right. So Does everybody see this okay? Give me a nod. Okay. So this system, the Feel Great system, is comprised of two nutraceuticals. The first of these is called Unimate, and Unimate functions by two methods. This is an extract from a tea that comes from South America called yerba mate, and it has several functions that the way its mechanism of action, if you will, is number one, is it will cause your body to release more GLP-1, glucagon-like peptide 1. Now, you've heard of Ozempic. Ozempic is an artificial glucagon-like peptide 1. They've made it in a laboratory to try to mimic the action of this hormone that your body produces naturally. The problem is that in some people, it's not part of you, that what you're putting into yourself with that shot, and it becomes overactive. People can become, it has two actions on you. Number one, it suppresses your appetite, but the dangerous one is that it can stop your bowels from moving to the point that they don't ever move again. That can lead to the bowel distension, bowel perforation, the contents of your bowel leaking out into your peritoneal sac, resulting in sepsis and death, bowel infarctions. So what you want is just simply more of your own hormone working, because it fits those receptors perfectly, and it doesn't overact. It doesn't shut your bowels down. It doesn't cause pancreatitis or or thyroid cancer or bone loss or any of those things that go along with Ozempic. The next thing that it does is it can increase your ketone production while you're in the fasted state up to 70%. So this is what it's doing is accelerating fat burning. It's making your fat cells wasteful of energy. That's what you want, is to just waste the energy so that you burn the fat off. It has one other thing that I haven't got on this slide, which is it is very kidney protective. Many people who have insulin resistance, diabetes, they also have simultaneously high blood pressure. That high pressure transmitted to your kidneys for a long time starts to result in kidney damage, kidney disease. And this is a product that has a lot of something called chlorogenic acid in it, which is very protective to your kidneys. It also has a little bit of theobromine in it. It's a natural stimulant. It doesn't make you feel nervous like caffeine, but it just increases the focus and it just improves your mood, makes you feel nice. The next half of this system is something called Balance. Now, Balance is a super nutraceutical. It's been around since 1990, and it's comprised of the major ingredients I want to tell you about is it has five sources of fiber. There is no other supplement that carries 5 different sources of fiber. The importance of that is that we're discovering is in just the last 5 or 6 years that not all soluble fiber acts the same way in your body. We used to think of it all as it just all kind of does the same thing. Just get the soluble fiber, doesn't matter where it comes from. But that's actually not true. Some types of soluble fiber are better for controlling your glucose. Other types of soluble fiber are better for shutting down your hunger. And other types of fiber are better for doing other things, lowering your inflammation, lowering your cholesterol. So you want as many different varieties of fiber in a mix that you can possibly get. Now, not everybody has time to prepare a Mediterranean diet like me, especially if you're lazy about food and you're totally disinterested in cooking. But if you just put what's in this packet down your throat right before you eat, well, you just consumed all of the nice various fibers all in one little drink. And this is what baffles so many doctors that read this thing and they go, oh, it's only 3 grams of fiber. And they're baffled at why this works so well. And it's because it's the variety, the plant diversity. Not to mention there's some other bit in there. It's called they call it the Unicity 7. This is a collection of polysaccharides. Now, fiber is polysaccharide, but they have this mysterious mix that I don't know. It's a patented mix, and it's one that is proprietary. We don't know the precise ingredients. All we do know is that it is a polysaccharide, which puts it in the same class as fiber. And now new Chinese studies are showing like you can dramatically reverse diabetes and other, chronic disease with the manipulation of the diet using polysaccharides. So I think it's this mixture of 12 different sources of plant fiber-like material that really just shuts down your hunger. It starts to it slows down how fast the glucose that's in the food that you eat, slows how fast it hits your bloodstream. I'm going to show you that right now. Here's a normal meal. Okay, this is your glucose levels. You eat the food here, the food starts to be digested, and the glucose is then extracted. It starts hitting your bloodstream, rising very quickly. And this is going to be like your typical American diet, the SAD diet, the standard American diet. It's a macaroni and cheese, a lot of bread, maybe some honey on some biscuits at Cracker Barrel, along with your meatloaf that has a bunch of breadcrumbs in it. So that stuff starts to hit your bloodstream and spiking your blood glucose. And so in response, your pancreas puts out all this insulin and slam dunks your blood sugar back below the baseline, which makes you hungry all over again. When your blood glucose goes below baseline, about 90 minutes to 2 hours after that meal, you're hungry again. So what this product does is it blunts how fast and how high the sugar hits your bloodstream, keeping your levels low. Okay. This product is listed in the Cleveland Clinic, which gives it a lot of credibility with doctors now, because this is, the Cleveland Clinic is our nation's #1 heart hospital. What they found, this was their conclusion after doing the study on it, is that this product lowers cholesterol as effectively as a statin drug. And the University of Sydney, which is one of the most salient of diabetes centers in the world. If you do have diabetes, then you've probably heard of the glycemic index. This is where it was invented. And what they concluded was that it lowers blood sugar levels, blood glucose levels by 28%, and it lowers the blood insulin levels by 27%. So the idea, the way you use this product is you will skip breakfast, and during that time frame, you're burning fat, and you're also you're dropping those insulin levels. You want the insulin levels low. To suppress your appetite, you're going to sip on the Unimate. You mix it in a container. This is where I've got mine in right now, about this size, and you're just sipping on it little bits. This container will last me about 2 hours, and then you can then have your lunch. Now, these packets aren't looking in the normal situation, but you can have 2 packets during the day of the Unimate, and then have the balance right before either lunch or dinner, whichever is going to be your biggest carb meal of the day. I personally drink 2 packets of Unimate and 2 packets of the balance daily. I do 2 and 2. And the balance is mixed with about half as much water, and you just down it right before your meal. And just think of it as like a metabolic shield that's going to protect you from an insulin spike and a blood sugar spike, and it'll also help to lower the cholesterol. So this was my results here. This is about 4 months after I started on the system, and it went from total all-out dad bod to like lesser dad bod pretty quick. And I just can't really, like James was saying, I really can't say enough about it. So right now, everybody that's in here with you, that's part of the distributorship, has had a personal experience with this. This is usually why people join us as distributors. I'd like everybody to just share in the comments what this product has done for you. That's A1C lowered. There you go. It went from very high A1C, like 13.5. You have no idea. So 6.4 or less is really where you want to be. So he was way out there in diabetes land. Triglycerides dropped from 250 to 50. Cut it in 1/5. Okay. Off the cholesterol medications. Lost over 35 pounds. No more migraines, increased the energy, lost 20 pounds, lowered the cholesterol, reversed over and over. You're seeing these recurring themes. Lost it. Everyone loses weight. We technically stay in our lane about this. It's for metabolic healing, but a side effect of this is often that you lose weight. And it's an indirect effect, I will say, because what it does is just simply kills those carb cravings so that you can then make more sensible choices at the dinner table. And so it's unbelievable. Yeah, look at all these things. Gut healing, gut health, that's another benefit here. Many people with ulcerative colitis see a tremendous benefit with this product. So,
do you want to bring in some questions?
Yeah, anyone have any questions right now that you'd like to ask?
Let's see.
I work for Hashimoto's. I don't think we need to, again, we need to stay in the lane with Hashimoto's. You can take it with Hashimoto's if you happen to have it. It's not going to exacerbate the Hashimoto's, but I don't know that I would.
It's going to lower inflammation. Hashimoto's is an
autoimmune disease. Yes.
We lower inflammation. You're going to see improvements in health, and we do have quite a few people that have Hashimoto's. Crystal's on this, and I think when Crystal started, she's a nurse. Her thyroid antibodies were close to 4,000, and now that she's been on this for over 2 years, her antibodies are less than 9. So there is profound anti-inflammatory benefits to this. All right, let's see.
Somebody was talking about the people with the MTHFR gene mutation and folic acid. This is not that version of folic acid, right?
Yep. So for that question, it's a gene SNP. It's a DNA mutation. And it just means that you require a methylated form of B vitamins. Just remember, y'all, this product is not a B vitamin supplement. We've added there's B vitamins added because that can help improve metabolic health. It can help with energy.
But folic acid is not unsafe for someone with this mutation, though.
No,
right?
It's not.
Right.
It's just right.
I want to clarify that.
It's a water soluble vitamin. So you will just urinate it out. And if you do have that MTHFR mutation, please take the methylated form. Absolutely. What about Trump? Okay,
someone has fear that it would provoke irritable bowel syndrome.
It's actually the opposite.
Yeah. Start with 30 teaspoons. See, I had bad irritable bowel. So a lot of people here have had irritable bowel that seems to be controlled with this product.
So fiber, I'm scared. Fiber makes my stomach hurt so bad. So for the person that's afraid of fiber, I can just address fiber. Guys, there's 3 grams of fiber in here. An apple has more fiber. It's the diversity. It's not the volume. It's the diversity of the soluble and insoluble fibers. It's actually very gut healing. It's a prebiotic. So food for your gut microbiome.
Yeah, I'd read, that you want to take in the soluble fiber. So I started hitting the Metamucil and the Bennett fiber, but those are single source fibers. And they did nothing to suppress my appetite. They did nothing any other way around. And then I got on this. And on day 3, I knew something was going on because I forgot to eat lunch, which hadn't happened since I'm like 18. Normally I'm like, totally gritting my teeth by 11:30. And there's no way that I could, I was working in a Catholic health hospital system. I don't know if you know anything about that, but they make the best chocolate chip cookies. And I was never able to just walk by that tray and just not pick up a cookie until I got on this. As it worked for, okay, let me see.
Gastroparesis. Gastroparesis is a condition where your gut motility is slowed due to damage to the nerves in your GI system from diabetes most often. And what I would recommend, I would think that this would be one of the best things that you can do for gastroparesis. Guys, it's just food. Like, please don't think of it. It truly is just plants, vitamins, and minerals. So it's no different than you drinking a glass of tea or eating some vegetables. It's just the perfect combination of these vegetables. And it's just a tea that has amazing beneficial properties to it. So if you're worried, I always think that just start with half a pack. Introduce it slowly. If you have an unhealthy gut microbiome, then you may have a little bit of gas, but you're not going to have any type of huge reaction because it's just food. You're reintroducing the things that modern processing has taken away from our foods.
Someone is asking, is monosodium glutamate bad for you? This has been a controversy lately, and they're trying to make the claim that monosodium glutamate does not stimulate hunger. I do not believe them, okay? We were using it to fatten rats for obesity studies. So we would feed them monosodium glutamate to get them to eat more. And I honestly, I'm beginning to wonder you need to check who's funding the research that's claiming that MSG isn't a problem, because they haven't convinced me of that yet.
All right. Well, we will, if y'all have more questions and it did not get answered, you're welcome to send me a message, to reach out to me. If you're on this product, we do have a private Facebook group that the person that you joined with can let you in and invite you to. We can ask the questions in there. You can send me a message. I'm happy to help any of y'all that have remaining questions, but I don't want to keep y'all too much longer. We are 5 minutes over.
Yes.
Thank you, Dr. Aiken.
Thank you, completely safe for kidney transplant. It's actually, I would encourage you to be on it.
Go small if you